the oldest Abrahamic faith, which would be Judaism. We'll have Ohad Fedida will talk to us a bit about fasting in the Jewish tradition.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Ohad Fedida. I'm a psychology student here at FIU. I apologize that I was late. I was just observing the Sabbath and I just jumped in a few minutes ago. So I wanted to thank FIU and the organizers for this amazing initiative, and specifically Dr. Akhtar for the opportunity. It's a very big honor, so thank you very much. So Jews are not strangers to fasting. Now, maybe it's not like Ramadan, it's not 30 days in a row, but we do fast in the Jewish tradition. We do fast in Jewish tradition, and we find three. There's the biblical command at first for Yom Kippur. That's the biblical commandment. When I say biblical command, I mean that it is rooted in the verses themselves. We then have another biblical command, and that is the command to call out and to cry out whenever there is tragedy or challenge that we are going through. That is translated, that biblical command is translated as a communal and a national responsibility to institute fast days as response to challenges and struggles. And finally, there are rabbinically instituted fast days, and that's what most of the fast days are. So they're not tethered to the verses, but rather they are tethered to the authority of the rabbinic, of the rabbinate. So that's most of the fast days that we have today. So practically a Jew today fasts about 7 to 8 times during the calendar year. So there's the biblical command of Yom Kippur, of the Day of Atonement, to fast. There's the biblical command to respond to tragedy through fasting. And then there's the rabbinically instituted fast days. So that's the what. But what is the purpose of fast days in the Jewish tradition? So what is the purpose? So to start with what it's not, Judaism does not view fasting as mechanics of stripping the physical. We do not view fasting as a way to make us more spiritual through removing the physical. Judaism as a tradition speaks to mankind. So man being comprised of both the physical and the spiritual. So rather than trying to get rid of the physical, it elevates the physical. So fasting is not a mechanic of stripping the physical. So now granted, by the way, there are elements of abstinence on the path to self-perfection, but that's more of an assault on overindulgence more than an assault on the physical. So if it's not to get rid of the physical, then what is the purpose? So I think it's important to see one line from Maimonides. Maimonides was one of the greatest sages, thinkers, philosophers in the Jewish tradition. He lived about 850 years ago. So I'll just share my screen. So he has this one line in his magnum opus, the Mishneh Torah, where he codifies all of the legal principles of Judaism. And he says, regarding fasts, there are days when all of Israel fast due to the tragedies that occurred on them in order to wake the hearts and open the avenues of return. And it should make us aware of our current bad actions and the actions of our forefathers which caused our struggles. And with this awareness, we shall return to the good. So what Maimonides is identifying, and really this is the view of fasting, is that more than trying to get rid of the physical, fasting is there as a mechanic of awareness. It is there to wake us up, as a wake-up call, to wake us up back to the good. Now, it doesn't take a big, religious scholar or a big sociologist, a big psychologist to recognize that when you take away someone's lunch, he's thinking about why he's not having lunch. When we don't have our sandwich, we're thinking why we're not having our sandwich. So the removal of food is a wake-up call. It's a little bit of a nudge that say, hey man, wake up, put down your sandwich for more than 5 seconds and focus about the things that are going on in your life. That's what fasting is for the Jewish tradition. It's an alarm clock. It's a wake-up call to strive for awareness, to bring back consciousness onto our lives. And that idea is really tethered to the principle, to the fundamental idea of what is the purpose of life in the purpose of creation, in the Jewish view. And the purpose of creation in the Jewish view is for there to be a real relationship, a loving relationship between created and creator, between mankind and between reality itself. But for there to be a true relationship that's not based off of self-projection, off of fanciful thinking, awareness, consciousness, responsiveness must be present. And that's really the purpose of fasts, to wake us up, to bring us back to awareness, to foster in us consciousness, so we can actually have a true and loving relationship with reality itself. So to recap, in the Jewish tradition, there is the biblical mandate of Yom Kippur. There's the biblical command of responding to reality with fasts, with tragedy, with fasts. There is the rabbinic instituted fast days. We saw that fast days are a wake-up call and they foster awareness. And the purpose of that is to come into a true relationship with reality itself. So thank you so much for the opportunity.